To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. By the time you finish Nier Automata, you're going to have a lot of questions. Questions that I cannot answer for you because I don't have a degree in philosophy, or psychology, or biology. Actually, I never really finished college, but that's besides the point. Because know this, you are not alone. Those thoughts and feelings you have while playing this game, they are real. Maybe a little too real. Alright, game. No need to call me out like that. Between the two of us, I'm still trying to comprehend Nier Automata. It's bizarre and philosophical, ambitious and depressing, meticulous in the way it conveys its message, that being a lack of empathy. But wait, isn't this supposed to be the game with the funny looking robots and the cute anime girls with the really big swords? Well, yes, but, well, you see, look, the game knows exactly what it wants to be. Alright, let's see. The story, amazing. Soundtrack, beautiful. Gameplay, satisfying. Characters, interesting. Graphics, kind of outdated. Probably its weakest aspect. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not good either. It's almost as if resources were allocated elsewhere. 4 to 5.
Lord have mercy.
4.5 out of 5. Not bad all things considered. And in this economy, you might as well call it a masterpiece. However, I am getting ahead of myself, so let's start from the beginning. An unknown alien race and their machine army attack Earth in hopes of destroying humanity. As war ensues, humanity is pushed close to extinction and decide to flee Earth and seek shelter on the moon. Their plan? Create anime woman, except edgier and thicker. A bit more. These android units, modeled after humans, fight in their place so that if they win, humans may hopefully return to Earth. That's where you come in. You are thrown into a perpetual pseudo-war against the aliens' machine army, fighting as an android. Wave after wave, body after body, friend after friend. You are commanded to sacrifice everything for humanity's survival. You are constantly reminded of your failures because every death is considered canon. Though you don't really die, at least, not in a traditional way. When you die, your memories, thoughts, and feelings are imported into another body. Yet this is only possible if the androids upload their data to the main server on the moon, just before their body is destroyed. Essentially, if an android were to fail to upload their data in time, then they revert back to their last update/memories when they receive their new body, which is exactly what happens within the first 30 minutes of the game, thus introducing you to the cycle of death and misery that androids endure. Yet, is that your only purpose? To fight and to sacrifice yourself for the sake of humanity? The androids seem to believe so. At least, that's what they seem to tell themselves.
承知しております。人類に栄光あれ。人類に栄光あれ。人類栄光あれ。
Nier Automata likes to play with the idea that concepts like empathy and emotions aren't inherently tied to only humans. Characters are this game's most prominent feature in my opinion, and it's important to mention that none of them are human. As far as playable characters, we have 2B, who is cold and stoic, elegant and quick in the way she moves, never in the mood for just chatting, but always gets the job done. 9S, in contrast, is cheerful but impulsive, curious, and too smart for his own good. This makes sense given their personalities match their model types. 2B is a combat unit, so acting like a soldier is part of her nature. On the other hand, 9S is a scanner unit, who specializes in hacking and gathering intelligence. He's not exactly built to handle combat like 2B. There's also A2, a mysterious android who deserted the war, and the last protagonist we are introduced to. She is a prototype android, whose data was used to create the newer models like 2B and 9S. hence why she shares traits with the aforementioned units. Despite their differences, there is one thing that all three share, that being their animosity towards the war. The world is bleak and colorless because of it, yet in spite of this, it's the characters' motives, goals, and ideas that paint the world. What's more is that the androids, and subsequently the machines we've been fighting, are a lot more similar to us than we initially thought. They display love, loyalty, resentment, and sadness. These concepts are all so foreign and new to them. It scares and excites them. It seems incomprehensible to them, yet they still experience it in their own unique way. The machines mimic what they don't understand, resulting in them acting childish or confused, while the androids try their best to suppress these feelings, but most ultimately fail. Doubt and hope starts to exist in their minds. They develop a need for happiness, pleasure, and seek knowledge wherever they can. It's here where not just the player begins to question things, but the in-game characters as well. Themes like repetition and perspective are embedded in the plot of Nier, giving you an array of context one would otherwise not see in their first playthrough. The game incentivizes you to replay the story as much as possible, and I'm not just talking about New Game Plus here. There are 26 different endings in Automata to be precise. Yes, you heard me right, 26 endings. But I'm not going to go into detail about all of them because, frankly, most of the endings aren't really important. There are legitimate endings that are so anticlimactic that you would need to see them to believe me. My favorite being the one where 2B eats a fish and dies of food poison. No way that's a real ending. Though, worry not because the game does have proper endings. Yep, endings. With an S. In order to get into the real ethics of Nier, you first need to understand that this game includes its own sequel. But before you can get to the sequel, you must play the game again. Your first playthrough is done entirely through the perspective of 2B. Once you complete that route, the second route begins where you play the entire game again, now as 9S. After completing that route, the final story is unlocked, allowing you to play as A2. This all sounds convoluted, but trust me when I say, it's well worth it. Gameplay also helps put things in perspective for the player. Sometimes you'll play in third person, other times you'll be looking down. Now you're in a flight suit, operating in a 2D space. Now you're in a hacking minigame. Now you're in a fighting game. You're not even playing as an android in this one. Different viewpoints offer better gameplay and perspective. There's a moment in the game where you enter a factory where the machines are being made, and during a sequence when you're forced to escape the building, the camera slowly starts to pan away. The characters in frame are so small they look like little bugs, and then it hits you. The factory is gigantic and produces machines at an alarming rate. It puts into perspective how dire the war is, how you are just a single android against a machine army, or in greater context, how screwed the side of humanity really is. Like, how can you even keep up with the machine's output? You get all of this info from a single drawn out shot of the camera, and that's just one example. Now that is cinema. Likewise, the visual and audio elements the androids experience are directly incorporated into the gameplay. You see and hear as they do. When you hack something or are being hacked, you physically play through the process of the hack. When you adjust the settings in the game recognizes these changes as real for the android. When a glitch or a virus occurs, the gameplay reflects the intensity of the attack by hindering your sight, sound, and movement. Unfortunately, not everything in the game can be this exceptional. Visually, the game can use an uplift. Certain areas feel deprived of any artistry, and while this all might seem intentional, no amount of immersion is going to make me turn the other way when I see textures like these. Furthermore, Nier's open world design falls a bit short compared to its other features. While they sure nailed the aesthetic representation of a war-torn planet, there is not much to do except for completing a few side quests. The world itself does change the further you progress in the story. New enemies in far greater numbers start to appear in familiar places, and landscapes are shifted to incorporate new world-changing events. So the game can be imposing when it wants to be, and it can be best experienced through its sound. The sound design is what elevates Nier from a good game to a great one. Large spectacles like visiting the amusement park or the factory leave you in sheer astonishment because of how impressive they look and sound. Bosses feel as dignified as their music, incorporating large feats with an orchestra to match. Yet there is so much more to Nier than its grand entrances and amazing boss battles. Sometimes it's peaceful. Arriving at a new destination serenades us with a cascade of mesmerizing music, capturing the moment to perfection. There are very few moments of silence in Nier, and that's a good thing because it means more time for you to enjoy the stunning soundtrack. By the time you finish Automata, you'll more than likely still have questions, and that's to be expected. It's a whole ordeal trying to figure out Nier's lore and story, but nothing will prepare you for just how amazing this game is. There aren't too many games out there that captivate and immerse us like Nier does. It's dark, elegant, sad, and lonely. If you have some spare time and the mental fortitude, play this game. It's not made for everyone, but I'm sure it will exceed your expectations.